welcome to my channel, or just welcome if you are new today. My name is Gemma and I currently have a 22-month-old son called Oscar, and in this week's video it is a much requested video which is our top picks of books for toddlers. So my child obviously is only 22 months, so I thought I'd do a roundup of the best books that we have found from the age of 1 to 2. Now, many of these books have also gone into the kind of 0 to 1 stage, and we've had them for a long time, but I've kind of tried to pick books that have really come into their own between 1 and 2, and I've narrowed it down to 15 books. It was a really hard thing to do. I was going to try and do 10, and I was like, no, I have to have this one in the list as well. So I'm doing 15 books. So what I thought I'd do is just do a quick roundup. All of these books are also over on my Instagram, and I will link all the books in the description box below if you want to go check them out. But I thought I'd just do a quick run through of why these books have been so great and why I can see them being good even past the 2-year age bracket. So I really hope you enjoy this video, and if you do, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and head over to my Instagram to chat with me there, because YouTube are blocking my comments. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first book that I'm going to talk about, and this is in no particular order, is Dinner Sid. This is a book that I have known about for a very long time. I was a teacher before I've become a stay-at-home mum and now YouTuber, and this was a book I actually discovered in my teacher training. So I've known about it for a really long time and I've always loved it. I'm a cat lover, and this is a lovely book about a cat called Sid who lives on a street, and each member of that street believes that that cat is theirs and theirs alone. Sid is a bit more crafty than that, and he actually has 6 homes where he gets his 6 dinners. This is all well and good for a very long time until Sid gets a cough, and each of the owners of Sid take him to the vet. So Sid actually visits the vet 6 times, and that progresses the story into Sid being found out. This is a really lovely book with lovely illustrations that your child will recognise. So if you're looking for books that are realistic, Sid doesn't talk, which I quite like. He's just, he's just a cat, and the things that you'll see in the illustrations are lots of things that you'll see around your own home. So you can pick out, we pick out doors and windows, and can you see the, I think there's a duck in a window, and there's milk by the door, and there's a bike. So it's really great for language development as well, and it has been well loved in our house for well over a year. The next book is a board book, so if that is something that you are particularly looking for, and this was actually suggested to me when I put a plea out onto my Instagram for books about trucks or vehicles that didn't involve them talking, but was, realistic and actually had a storyline. I was sick to death of trucks chatting away to each other. And also, or just those kind of books that just had pictures of all the trucks. We have those, and it is in the also in our list, but I wanted one that had a bit more of a story because Oscar was becoming much more interested, and so I put a plea out, and this one was suggested. It's called 20 Big Trucks in the Middle of Our Street. Bit of a title, but as the title suggests, it has 20 different trucks in it, from cranes to delivery trucks to milk trucks to ice cream trucks. So you've got a good selection there if your child has a vehicle obsession, or if your child just likes to read stories about things that they see day to day. Basically, it's the story of a ice cream truck breaking down and blocking the street, and a queue forms behind the truck, and a little boy kind of comes and saves the day and sorts out the situation. It's a great book for anybody kind of in that age bracket, but I can also see after 2, Oscar is still going to really enjoy this book, and it's the lovely rhyme to it. I think it's going to allow him to start to fill in more of the gaps. He already has started to kind of finish the sentences for me. So I can see that this book is going to continue to be loved well after the age of 2. Next up is a fairly recent find for us, and it is called Max, and it is about a seagull. So if you are living near the sea, or you frequently see seagulls, this is a great book for children who, see those sorts of things. It is a story about a seagull called Max and his friend Bob, who owns the fish and chip shop, and they have a wonderful friendship for a very long time until one day when Max goes to visit Bob at his shop. He is not there anymore, and his shop has closed down. This is a great book for, again, real life situations. So you've got shops, cars, cranes, if that's what your child's into, which my child is. A wonderful story about friendship and finding your friends and what's beautiful and simple in life. So a really simple book, beautiful illustrations by Mark Martin, and we absolutely love it. Oscar now calls every single seagull Max. The next book in our list is called Rain, and it is about a little boy who is opening his curtains and seeing the day and seeing that it is raining. In parallel, it's also about an old man who's opening his curtains and seeing that it's raining. And it's about how they perceive the day. The boy is thrilled that it's raining and the man is disappointed that it is raining. And it kind of goes through the same day. It's very simple text, but beautiful pictures, showing how you can see a day in such a different perspective. I love this because I hate the rain, and it really gives me a downer of like, oh, what we're going to do today. But this book, it really reminds you that it doesn't matter the weather, as long as you're dressed appropriately, you can get out there and you can enjoy it. Next up on our list is the series of The Little Blue Truck. We actually have 2 of the books in the series, and we have the original, The Little Blue Truck, and then we also have The Little Blue Truck in the City, I think it's called. Basically, it's the story of a truck. Yes, he is personified, so he chats away. In the original, he meets lots of different farmyard animals who come and help him to get a big dump truck stuck out of the mud. They all have to, push it, and it has a wonderful rhyme scheme. Your child will then start to be able to finish the sentences and pick up the words. It goes through the farmyard animal noises, so that's always a bonus, and it is a board book, so that's ticking a lot of boxes. We loved it so much that we then bought Little Blue Truck in the City, which focuses more on vehicles, so that ticked a huge box for us. We love them both. I think there's also a Christmas one, a spring one. There's probably more now, but they've obviously realised they've hit the nail on the head with hitting everything a young toddler loves. So these are great books, great rhyme, great illustrations as well. Thoroughly recommend them. The next book is a board book, and it is called All the World. It is a classic that I was not aware of, so that somehow seems strange as a classic. You may very well be aware of it. It is a kind of very small board book, but it is beautifully written with gorgeous illustrations, and the story behind the book is about appreciating all the little simple pleasures in the world, not taking them for granted, taking great pleasure in them, and understanding that all of these little things in our world make up our world, and basically we should love it. It talks about feathers and nests and bees and hives and corn and shells and waves, and it is just gorgeous. So if you're looking for a book to gift a child, I love gifting this book because it's hitting the nail on the head for a toddler insofar as it rhymes. It's got gorgeous pictures, lots of things to find in the illustrations, but it has a lovely message behind it. So as the child grows and they are able to read this book themselves, it has a great message behind it, which I love in stories. My next book is called When You Were Born, and it is absolutely gorgeous. If you know a child that has just been born, this is a wonderful book to gift. Oscar loves reading this at bedtime. It's nice and short, if that's what you're looking for a bedtime story, but it's absolutely gorgeous. The pages have gilding on them, the illustrations are beautiful, and it basically goes through how everyone felt on the day that they were born. It's like, the rain stopped, the wind stopped, everybody laughed. It was just a gorgeous day, the day that they were born. So it's a lovely message. It's got animals in it, and it's also got a little family. And Oscar always points out, Mummy, Daddy, Oscar. It is just gorgeous. So if you're looking for a really lovely book either to gift or to read to your child at bedtime, I really suggest When You Were Born. Okay, my next suggestion is probably the most well-loved, battered book that we own, and it's called Things That Go. I think I've mentioned this before, but it has to enter into this list because Oscar has loved it for so long, before he was 1, and still loves it now. He can now pretty much name everything on every page. It's one of those books that is, every page is a different kind of type of vehicle. So it might have cars, but it's all different kinds of cars, limousines and jeeps and tiny cars and big cars, etc., etc. Diggers, tractors, trucks, planes, trains, everything is in this book. I love the fact that it is actually photographs rather than illustrations, because early on he found illustrations really hard to kind of conceptually understand what they were. So early on he was able to recognize things that he was seeing out in the street. This book is one of those ones that children gravitate towards when they come to our house. It's the one that we kind of have in the car. It's a board book, so that's always great, but it is battered. The kind of corners are turning up, but it is, you know, still very well loved, and it is going to keep going for a long time. So thoroughly recommend this book if your child is very interested in those walks and spotting things out on the street. Next up is a true classic, and it is called Each Peach, Pear, Plum. Now, I'm not sure if that's a classic worldwide, but this book is beautiful. The illustrations are just gorgeous, and it features many kind of story characters from other traditional stories. Cinderella, Mother Hubbard, Tom Thumb, Robin Hood, etc., etc. It is kind of like an I Spy book insofar as there's a small bit of text, but you've also got to kind of find the things in the pictures, which Oscar has loved through this kind of 1 to 2 year age gap. The illustrations allow it to be more than just the story. So yes, you can just read the kind of what's written on the page, but we also talk about what else is there and what everyone's doing, and can you spot this, and what's that rabbit doing, and who's hiding in that tree. So I love books where it can be more than just what the book is telling you, that you can also elaborate and bring on extra language. This book is just gorgeous, well loved. I think it comes in a board book, but I'm not sure. We don't have the board book version, but it is still very much well loved in this 1 to 2 year age gap. The next book is called The Lookbook at Home. I'm wondering if this is actually in a series, actually. Is there a lookbook at different places? Don't know. Anyway, I'm rambling. This is a gorgeous book about everything your child is going to see day to day in general, I guess, depending on where you live. It is going through each room in the house and spotting different things, basically. There's no real storyline. No, there isn't a storyline, but it is one of those books where you can kind of spot different things. We do lots of talking around the pictures. Lots of things that are in the book are also in our house, so it's really helped to develop Oscar's language vocabulary and his kind of just understanding of, you know, different elements in our house, like going up the stairs, and we can come down the stairs, and what's through that door. So it's not just necessarily about spotting things, but actually talking about how you'd, you know, maneuver around the house. So I love this book because it is so detailed for elements around the house that it has really helped Oscar's language, and it's just lovely to look at. The illustrations are really gorgeous. It reminds me of like a French house that I'd like to live in. So yeah, thoroughly recommend this if you're looking for developing language. Next up is a gorgeous book called Joy, and it is about a little girl and her Nana. I think it's Nana. I always say Nana because that's what we call Oscar's grandparents, so even if it says grandma, I change the word to Nana. And Nana is not very happy. She's a bit old and a bit tired, and the little girl wants to bring joy to her Nana. And so she goes out on a little expedition trying to catch some joy to bring back to her Nana. And it is just gorgeous. The things, you know, the laugh of a little girl on the swing, the glistening of the water at the duck pond. She just tries to capture all of this and bring it back to her Nana to make her smile. It's just a gorgeous story, gorgeous illustrations, and a gorgeous message behind just, you know, living in the moment and just enjoying the simple things in life. Oscar loves it because it is real people that he can relate to, and she is going about doing different things that he also does. So I think when you have a book that resonates with your child's routine, they absolutely adore it, and this not only is great for Oscar, but I love reading it as well. Mix is a really cool book with a really good concept. So this is the story of 3 different colours. The world starts with 3 different colours: red, blue, green. No, red, blue, yellow, the primary colours, and they kind of all are living, you know, together fine, and then all of a sudden the reds decide that they're going to announce that they're the best colour, and no one else agrees. Yellows say, no, you're not the best. Blues are like too cool to even get involved in the conversation, and so they end up deciding to live separately. So the colours all build their own little town and they don't mix. And then one day a blue and a yellow, I think it is, kind of meet each other on a bench and start chatting, and they realise that actually yellow gives blue something and blue gives yellow something and makes them feel good about each other, and they decide to mix. And of course, in the mixing process, they create green, a little green baby. And everyone starts to think, oh, this might not be so bad, I'm not sure about this. And basically, it's a story about diversity and the beauty in our world in diversity. So of course that's probably way above Oscar's head at the moment. The illustrations are gorgeous. They're kind of black line drawings and then there's pops of colour of all the little characters. But I can see this is another one of those books that is going to go through Oscar's childhood and he's still going to enjoy it. It's got a city, it's got cars, which ticks a few boxes. It's got a wonderful story, a wonderful message, and I really recommend it to have in everybody's book collection. Next up is Michael Rosen's We're Going on a Bear Hunt. This is a classic, and I was actually lucky enough to meet Michael Rosen, and our copy is signed. Woohoo! I never really got the book though. I had known about it for a very long time, and I thought it was okay. I didn't really get the appeal, didn't really understand its classic categorizing. And then I saw Michael Rosen perform the book, like read the book to an assembly hall full of children, and it changed that book for me. I'll actually link in the description box a YouTube video of him reading it, exactly pretty much how he read it to a school of children. And it completely changed how I perceived the book and how to read stories to children. If you want to know how to make books exciting, watch Michael Rosen read a book. It is just fascinating, enthralling. You cannot take your eyes off him. And so the book has become well loved in our house. It's the story of a little family going on a bear hunt. They have to go through different terrain, and Oscar loves talking about, there's a kind of a format in the book that every other page is fairly similar, and it's we can't go over it, we can't go under it, oh no, we've got to go through it. And Oscar is learning that language now because of that book. Over, under and through is all coming from that story. Obviously I read it with a bit more expression than I've just done then. And then towards the end of the book they find a bear and then have to run back through all the terrain back to their house for safety. It seems like a crazy story, but actually kids absolutely love it. Oscar loves turning that page to find the bear, and like I say, go and check out Michael Rosen reading it and then you can do your own interpretation. Oh Dear is a book that Oscar has loved from about a year old, or maybe before, and still loves it now. It's a very simple book. It's one of those classics. It's in the series with Dear Zoo, all written by Rod Campbell. And Rod Campbell, I was thinking, is it Ron Campbell? No, Rod Campbell. And Oscar loves these books. They're particularly Oh Dear because it is about farmyard animals, whereas Dear Zoo is about more zoo animals, obviously. And it is about a boy called Buster, and he's staying with his nana, I think it's Gran in this one, and he is sent off to collect some eggs. And he visits all the different animals trying to find eggs, and then he realises towards the end that eggs come from chickens. So it's a great story about animals. It's got Lift the Flaps, which is always exciting, a board book, again ticking some boxes here, and just a simple lovely story. So if you're looking for something that's really simple and is hitting those kind of board book, farmyard kind of boxes, then this is the story for you. So that is my top 15 books for young toddlers, that 1 to 2 year age gap. Like I have kind of mentioned through the books that I've talked about, these books I don't think are going to be packed away at 2 years old. They're definitely going to continue to stay out and be well loved. So I really hope you enjoyed this week's video, and I will see you next week. Bye.